Hi, good morning, class. How is everybody today?
Good morning.
Very well. Today we're going to continue with part 2 of our 3-part series, Comparative Adjectives. Yesterday, if you remember, we did equative. A quick review, when you want to talk about how two things are equal. For example, if there was another person here the same height as me, I am as tall as this person. They were talking about two equal things. Well, today we're going to continue that, and we're going to compare two equal things. For example, pretend this person that we're standing next to me was not as tall as me. What would you say then? That's what we're going to learn today. So to give you a little heads up, it's going to sound something like, I am taller than this person, meaning they're shorter than me. Now, it may look like I have a lot written here, and it may look a little daunting at first, but let's just take it step by step, and you'll see it's honestly not that bad. So the form, there's 3 different types, or a couple different types of forms depending on the adjective you have. So we're going to go through this step by step. For example, if you have a 1-syllable adjective, you remember how we count out syllables. You can put your hand underneath your chin, and when you say a word, every time your chin hits your hand, that's how many syllables. Or you can clap it out. You know, for example, an adjective, beautiful. Beautiful. 3 syllables. So when you have an adjective that is 1 syllable, this is going to happen a lot of the time, you just add ER to the end. I have an example up here using the verb or adjective smarter. Smart. 1 syllable, just add ER to the end. So if we were to use that in a sentence, we could say, for example, he is smarter than his brother. What do we find out from that sentence? He's more intelligent, he's smarter, stuff like that. Now, if you have a 1-syllable adjective and it ends in the form consonant, vowel, consonant, what we do, since the last letter would be a consonant, we double it and then add ER. Very simple. For example, hot, 1 syllable, H is a consonant, O is a vowel, T is a consonant, follows the form, so we double the last consonant and add ER, becoming hotter. For example, it is hotter today than it was yesterday. Now, what if you have a 2-syllable adjective that ends in Y? For my example here is happy. You could say happy, pretty, funny. You know, a lot of adjectives that you're going to use to compare things are going to end in Y. It's very common in the English language. So what do we do then? Well, again, very simple. Drop the Y and add ER. And what that does is it keeps the same pronunciation and flow when it's in a sentence. So, for example, I am happier here in Puerto Vallarta than I am in Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from. Very simple. Now, the final one, before we get to the exception, just ignore that right now. The final one is when we have an adjective, any adjective that is 2 or more syllables. Now, there's a long list of these, and we could go on and on and on, listing them off all day and thinking of different words. I use the one in my example here as interesting, interesting, beautiful. There's many. But the form is really easy. You just got to remember it. You keep the adjective the same. Nothing about it changes. Up here we were dropping letters. We were adding ER. For this form, nothing changes. You just add the word more or less in the beginning, indicating whether something is more or, obviously goes without being said, less. Plus the adjective, plus the than, that word, which indicates what you're going to be comparing it to. So in my example, I use the adjective interesting. For example, I am more interesting than her, whoever her would be. Notice nothing changes. More, adjective is interesting, than, indicating who I'm comparing or what I'm comparing it to, her. Or we'll use another one. We'll use the adjective beautiful. I think we used that one already, so we'll stick with it. Puerto Vallarta is more beautiful than Chicago. What do we learn from that sentence? We learned something about the 2 cities because we're comparing them. Now, there is an exception, bad and good. Now, you might say, well, wait, bad, that follows the consonant, vowel, consonant form. It's 1 syllable. Why don't we just double the consonant at the end and add ER? Well, because it's just an exception. There's no rule. You just got to remember it. But luckily, there's only 2 of them. We wouldn't say in English badder. What we do is we change the word completely, and it goes to worse. Or good, you wouldn't say gooder. You change it to better. So, for example, this camera is better than that other one. functions better, just is clearer, easier to use. That's what we learned from the sentence because we're comparing the two cameras. Now, if you wanted an example for worse, we could say that that computer, maybe it's older, is worse than the new one we have. We learned something about the two computers we were comparing. So that's our lesson for today. Like I said, it might seem like a lot. Printed out some worksheets for you guys. We're just going to do a bunch of examples. We'll talk about it. You guys will get it in no time. So to wrap up, we could say this lesson might seem harder than the equative ones we did in the first day, but we'll get there. So then in the part 3 of this series, we're doing superlative adjectives, and you'll learn about that tomorrow. But for right now, that's comparatives. Any questions?